For secondary art teachers at Key Stage 3, assessment can be a problem. Some worry that levels interfere with creativity, and there are concerns about making sure students are given the correct levels. So what can be done to help the assessment process? Kate Bullivant is Head of Art at St Michael's Catholic Grammar School in North London.
The first thing I want you to do today is I would like you to open up your sketchbooks at your homework, please.
Her Year 9s are doing an urban environment project. 3 miles away at East Barnet School, a large comprehensive, Paul Chatterton is Head of Art. His Year 7s are doing a project he calls Face of Objects.
I'm starting to sort of curve the lines. Why am I curving the lines?
So it goes in the direction what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, because the lemon is curving, isn't it?
In this programme, both teachers reveal the strategies they use when awarding levels, and full details are available on the Teachers TV website. Like many art teachers, Kate thinks the national curriculum levels are too broad and has subdivided them.
We've split the levels into subgroups of A, Bs and Cs. So a 7A will be a high 7, a 7B will be a mid 7 and a 7C will be a low 7, so that you can see progress within a student's work, because they could get a 7 at the beginning of Year 8 and have a 7 at the end of Year 8, but they will have progressed within it. So you can see the subgroups the levels have been split into, and we've equated it to the grades we give them for homeworks, the A's, B's and C's, etc., which we give to individual pieces of homework.
As an experiment, Kate has applied the level descriptors very specifically to the urban environment project. She's keen to see whether working this way will really raise achievement.
For our urban environment project, we have broken down the levels so that the student can see in terms of, well, drawing, for example, and to get a level 5, we've said that a student is using up to 2 types of line, dots, dashes and straight marks to show the shape of buildings. But if they want to achieve a level 6, they must vary the width of these lines. And then onto a level 7, the difference is the intensity of this line must vary too.
In the Urban Environment Project, the students study the work of Frank Auerbach, Michael Andrews, Jock McFadyen and Walter Sickert as they develop their own drawing and painting techniques.
There's the Frank Auerbach table. I've broken it down so that the students can see very clearly what they need to do to achieve a higher level. So they can see that, for example, to get a level 5, they need to be using 2 different tones of a particular colour. But to get a level 6, we're expected to broaden that range of tones. Also, for the level 6, you understand how and when to vary texture. You can see that's what you need to do to get a level 6. What do you need to do to get a level 7?
You have to use brushstrokes in an appropriate way to show different features, not just use the brushstrokes.
Do check this. Use this as a checklist, please. It's clearly written down for them. They've got almost like a checklist in their sketchbooks.
The levels on the book to refer to when I'm painting. And then if you look at it, and then you can help, and then it helps me to see what I need to improve to get the higher level.
I felt they did sit up and take more notice when we went through it. They thought, oh, well, now I know what I need to do to go up a level, because they are ambitious, they are motivated. So I think it does motivate them.
I need to vary my brushstrokes more, because at the moment I've only got like one definite type of brushstroke. So I've added more watercolours to bring the closer shapes out more, and the further away shapes are lighter because they're in the distance.
But are there any problems with applying such strict criteria to art?
Applying learning objectives to art could be a problem with creativity, could stifle creativity, but I don't think it does if the teacher knows how to motivate the child. I think the objectives of teaching art and of a given lesson are much clearer than they used to be, and actually much more detailed than I've often seen in other subjects, perhaps because it is so creative. It's as though art teachers need to demonstrate that theirs is a subject that can take its place with all other academic subjects.
At East Barnet School, Paul Chatterton also feels the levels need to be interpreted for the students.
The national level descriptors work for someone that has been trained in that context of art education. Obviously, for an 11 or a 12-year-old student, there is no way that they could use that language. And so, as a teacher, I see it as my job to sort of unwrap that, if you like, applying the levels, but putting my own language into those levels. So they've got a very specific sort of view on what they've got to do next to improve.
Keeping children informed about what level they are at is also school policy here.
We make children aware of their levels. However, that alone is not good enough. We tell children how to get from 6 to 7. That's the real key. How do you go from a 6 to a 7 or a 7 to an 8? And it's the how which I think is the fundamental difference between good schools and bad schools. Good schools tell children how.
It is the 4th week of the Year 7 Face of Objects project.
What I really want you to do is look at the level that you're at and look at the next one. So when you're working today, you're really trying to think about those things. How can I improve in the lesson? How can I take this forward? Really, refer to this as you're working and keep that fixed in your mind. And I'll come around and have a chat with you all in the lesson about it.
Paul regularly provides his students with assessment sheets marked with the level they should be working towards. He also subdivides the levels into A's, B's and C's.
Let's just think about what you're aiming to do as well. There you go, look. You're aiming to use your paintbrush like a pencil to create lines which follow the different directions and surfaces. So, first thing you've got to do, Jade, before you even start painting, what's the first thing?
Mixing colours, put 3 different shades of brown.
3 different shades. I go for 3 nice shades that you can see there. And then with a nice thin paintbrush, using your paintbrush like a pencil to start developing that. If you look at your target here, what you're trying to do is you're using your brush strokes to show the different, well, it says the different sides of the face, but what we're trying to do is using brush strokes to show all the different elements, all those different little details of the orange. So, mix your 3 tones up first, then start adding those 3 tones. Use one of those nice pointy brushes over there, the blue handle ones to do. You're doing really well there, it's level 5. You should be looking at layering like you've done here. So you're doing the same thing that you're doing here, where you're starting to build up further layers on top, do you see, of what you've done already. That's to create interesting textures, which is what you've done. So you're looking to repeat what you've done here in the work here in the same way.
Self-assessment is an important part of the assessment process. And at St Michael's, Kate has developed her own method for helping the students to do this simply.
You've done your research using the internet and the school intranet too. One of the strategies that we've been developing in our own art department is using a spider assessment for self-assessment partway through a project. Open your sketchbooks at the spider assessment, all right? It's a spider diagram with 8 legs, each leg having a particular question which applies to all schemes of work, so we use it with every project. And about halfway through, we get students to apply it to their classwork. What media and processes have we been using? What did we do to start with?
We've started with charcoal, and we've moved on to the powder paints.
Number 2 then, Laura. Where and how have you researched your project?
We used the school network to find the photos and on the internet as well for our homework.
Photos of what?
Urban landscapes.
They've got time to address what they're looking at and do something about their work so that they can raise their achievement.
We evaluate it ourselves with the spider diagram, and then she, the teacher goes over it and adds in what improvements you can make, and then we set ourselves targets of what we can improve.
Over at East Barnet School, Paul thinks it's important to get the students practising self and peer assessment skills as early as possible.
What I'd like you to do is have a 2 or 3 minute talk with your next door neighbour. As you're having your conversation, and again we've done this in the past because you've got notes from the past on this sheet, what I want you to do is write down what you think you could do better next week.
On the mushroom, I like the way you've been doing your lines. Yeah. And they're like pay around the outside and you've really got to that, so yeah, I like that.
I like your pear because you've got different shades on there, more darker, then it gets lighter in the middle.
I like the way you've done your carrot. You've got like the basic lines and you may need a bit more work on, but it's good.
I use different types of methods with peer assessment, so I use the technique where I get the whole group to sort of walk around the room at the end of the lesson in a clockwise way, and I ask them to stop at a piece of work where maybe they particularly feel the student has really hit the objectives and the success criteria that we've gone for in the lesson, and ask them really just to give a talk about that.
If peer assessment is established from the time children join the school, it's hoped that as the students move up the years, they'll get used to analysing each other's work.
Sometimes you feel scared, don't you, in case you say something and insult them.
Yeah, like if you think something could be changed, you don't really want to say it in an aggressive way, otherwise they might take it the wrong way.
Or in any way.
You'd rather it be told truthfully.
Yeah.
Just give minor pointers.
You know you can get better. You don't say someone's bad just because they're a low level. Because they're not bad, they're just not on the same level, yeah.
At St Michael's, Year 9 students are well versed in assessing their classmates' work, as well as their own.
Thickness of lines, as she went back, it got smaller and smaller and got more faint there, and there was duller colour used than there. And we thought to improve it, she could define the buildings and make that soften the tones and make it more blurry.
We assess the students' work, the students assess their own work, and that they assess the work with their peers. And all of these contribute to allowing a student to understand how they can improve their work.
I don't really like this one.
No.
It doesn't have a very good perspective. That one's good though.
I like the colour that she's used for the sky and how it works with the lamppost and the church.
Yeah.
It needs more intensity as you're getting closer to the foreground.
It's clear all this assessment is helping shake off ideas that marking art is subjective. But students have mixed feelings about the time spent evaluating.
I hate it when they hold up work in front of everybody though, because I think I'm not very good at art though.
Really not?
Yeah, but it's helpful though, even though.
The thing is, it's always the same people, I think, because all the good people always have their work held up.
I do think we spend a lot of the lessons evaluating, and it is useful, but sometimes you do want to just get on with it. But then if you think about it in the long term, it does help towards your final level, how well you can assess what you do and how well you can assess what your peers do.
I think the levels that we get at the end of each topic, they do sort of help. They give you an idea of where you are in Key Stage 3.
I think it's good when sometimes we swap books and then your partner assesses and writes a positive point and a negative point about your work. I think that really helps.
Yeah, but I think that's embarrassing.
Even though they are your friends, it's important that you can, as a classmate, you can help them and you can tell them this is where you can go on and make your work even better.